What we have here on the issue of crime is the obstinate hive mind, the dug-in, stubborn, I don't care how horrific the city gets. I don't care what the murder rate turns into. I'm not going to vote for election denying January 6th white supremacists or, whatever. That's the Democrat answer to everything. But for independents, they see this, and the Democrat response to all this crime is nowhere near the DEFCON 1, we have to do everything possible to clean this thing up scenario. And this is why you're going to see, you have states in play, Oregon and New York most notably, that should absolutely, from a electoral perspective in terms of the advantage Democrats have, Clay, these states shouldn't be in play, but they are.
State of New York, 3 weeks out. This poll just dropped from Quinnipiac. This is not a poll that is, typically slanted towards Republicans or Democrats. Fairly middle of the road, historically, poll. Kathy Hochul's lead is down to 4 points in New York. Everybody out there listening in New York, and I know you're one of them, Buck, who has been beaten down, trying to vote red. Want to hit you with some data points here. Kathy Hochul, +4, only 50 to 46 lead. Listen to this, Buck. Independents. Lee Zeldin, 20-point lead for independents out there. 57 to 37 over Kathy Hochul. What is the most important issue, Buck Sexton? It will not surprise you as someone who lives in New York City.
Climate change. Crime. Just kidding.
Crime overwhelmingly the number here. Again, that poll just breaking in the last few minutes. If you are a New Yorker, that is the closest that I have seen anyone have this. I think Lee Zeldin's going to win.
Clay, there have been 2 people thrown in front of trains in the last couple of days in New York City. Now, I understand people say there are millions of people in New York, and the numbers. These incidents are. When was the last time somebody was fatally thrown in front of a train somewhere else in the country? This is a horrific
event. The fact that it happens at all.
That's what I mean. This is a never should happen thing. This is a never should happen. And every person who stands on a subway platform, as I have done thousands of times in New York City, you have that moment where you're like, look, I'm just trusting my fellow New Yorkers.
That's right.
As this train is coming, those trains come flying in there, especially the express trains. You are totally at someone's mercy. There's nothing. I don't care how strong you are, jiu-jitsu master. Someone shoves you from behind, you're going in front, you're going to die getting hit by one of these trains. So it really sticks in the mind of people when these things are happening. And on top of everything else, too, and the Democrats, their responses to this, Clay, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Yeah. You see these people say, oh, it's really actually just, these are dog whistles people are using. No, we don't want crime for anybody, period. We want every neighborhood, every person to be safer. Democrats have no response to this because even in the Harvard-Harris poll, 2/3 of voters in that Harvard-Harris poll we talked about over the weekend, Clay, blame woke Democrats for the crime wave.
They're right. And you and I were talking about this off the air. Sometimes it's frustrating when people don't see the obvious things, but to get 2/3 of people to recognize that woke Democrats have created the crime world that we live in right now is incredibly important. And I just want everybody out there to think about it. Oregon and New York potentially going red.
Dealing with actual crimes, those 8 homicides, and we're dealing with the perception of fear that people are feeling. That's the combination. And I must deal with that perception and the actual crime. We can't get away from the fact we have 3.5 million people using our subway system. We have to be honest about that. And those average of 6 crimes a day is not giving the impression that our system is out of control.
Okay. The mayor of New York City is an incompetent. He is not up for the job right now. Welcome back to Clay and Buck. The response that we keep getting from this mayor, who was essentially elected, the reason the Democrats were able to push forward Adams as the answer to de Blasio basically ruined New York City to the greatest of his ability. Yeah, of course, there's still the great restaurants and there's a lot of great stuff about New York, but in terms of crime, safety, cleanliness of the streets, meaning sanitation, how that's all functioning, Clay, de Blasio basically ruined it to the maximum amount possible by one mayor. And now we get Adams coming in. He's supposed to fix it. And you're seeing this in a lot of cities where people have had enough. And so they went to Adams because he has a background in law enforcement, although not an illustrious one. I mean, not one this wasn't a guy who was widely well regarded on the police force based on the reporting that I have seen. But he has a cop background of some capacity. So people say, all right, well, he'll know how to do this. He doesn't know how to do this. Okay. He doesn't actually know or is not willing to do what is necessary here. And you're seeing this in so many places, in so many cities across the country. And, you brought up the Hochul Zeldin polling.
Yeah.
You see this with independents. What we have here on the issue of crime is the obstinate hive mind, the dug-in, stubborn, I don't care how horrific the city gets. I don't care what the murder rate turns into. I'm not going to vote for election denying January 6th white supremacists or, whatever. That's the Democrat answer to everything. But for independents, they see this, and the Democrat response to all this crime is nowhere near the DEFCON 1, we have to do everything possible to clean this thing up scenario. And this is why you're going to see, you have states in play, Oregon and New York most notably, that should absolutely, from a electoral perspective, in terms of the advantage Democrats have, Clay, these states shouldn't be in play, but they are.
Yeah, and increasingly, Buck, I really think Christine Drazan is going to win in Oregon. We were way ahead of the curve on that. I think even some people in Oregon, when we had her on the first time, and I was like, hey, I think the trend lines look really good. She's got a real shot to win. People were like, you're crazy. It's Oregon. And now I was reading the Sunday New York Times, and they've got a big article about how she's going to win Oregon. They're panicked. This numbers that just came out from Quinnipiac about Lee Zeldin. Buck, when we started saying on this show, we had Lee Zeldin on what, like 2-3 weeks ago? When we had Lee Zeldin on, people are like, you guys are crazy. Like, there's no way a Republican's going to win in New York. I think Lee Zeldin's going to win in New York. I think if you are listening to us right now in New York, you are going to be able to go and vote and feel on election night as you sit and watch these returns come in. For the first time, you tell me, Buck, you've been doing it for a long time. When's the last time you felt like a Republican statewide candidate had a chance to win a race while you were watching the results?
I mean, I did tell Zeldin at a Christmas party last year that he was going to be the next governor of New York. I'm just saying. I did throw that out there. But no, we haven't had anything like this. We'd have to go back to the Pataki era. And, Pataki was a middle of the road, centrist, quasi-Republican, but not a lunatic, woke progressive. This is the thing. Your choices right now, if you vote Democrat, you are supporting, and I cannot see a place, certainly in any of the states that are up for grabs right now where this isn't the case, you're voting for people who do not care what the reality is and what we have seen. You're voting for people who are ideologically fixed to continue on the road that we're currently on, whether it's New York, Oregon, pick a state, by the way. I mean, Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. I saw
think
this
Tudor
thing
Dixon
about
has a chance. She's down 4.
She's got a chance. But I'm sitting here. I mean, I want to have a sit down and a chat because I saw some polling about suburban, the suburban moms you talk about. Suburban moms in Michigan that are persuadable. I'm a little bit upset with them. I got a little bit of problem because Gretchen Whitmer is an imbecile and she did horrible things to that state and millions of people suffered. And now, because they're believing some of the, abortion propaganda, they want to keep, because it's a women's rights issue, they want to keep Gretchen Whitmer in place in Michigan. First of all, Tudor Dixon's also a woman. Second of all, they should actually look at what affects their day-to-day lives and vote for somebody who approaches governance with some degree of sanity. But Lee Zeldin in New York, this is so straightforward. No one even voted for Hochul. This is the hive mind against sanity, the Democrat hive mind against we want you to be safe and have a functioning government that is worthy of the name. That's all.
New York Times poll that came out yesterday, Buck, to defend some of these women. You know what the biggest shift was between September and October? Women moved 32 points in the direction of Republicans. So I do think there is out there an understanding, because Democrats have tried to run on abortion,
Oh, yeah.
that's a state-related issue. And so in New York, the idea that you would be like, oh, I've got to go vote for Kathy Hochul, abortion's not in danger in the state of New York. And let me just point this out, Buck. You would know better than me, but where is Kathy Hochul? Like, they are hiding her. She's an awful candidate, but you look at Lee Zeldin. He's out busting his ass trying to earn New Yorkers' vote everywhere. He's all over the place. Kathy Hochul they're like hiding her, hoping that they can get 3 weeks from now to Election Day and drag her across the finish line. They are terrified. And this is it becomes important about the tsunami, Buck. There are going to be guys and girls that we aren't even mentioning that if this wave continues to build are going to win as Republicans that nobody, like we're telling you Drazen can win. We're telling you Zeldin can win.
There may be some breakthroughs that we're not even paying close attention
aware
to
of.
It's possible. I don't want us to I want to do a little expectation management here because there's going to be some disappointments, folks, too, mixed in with all this.